meeting to order, at least at 7:03. Get things rolling. Happy midsummer. Hope everybody's enjoying this wonderful heat we're having. It's unbelievable. But could I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 3rd? Does everybody have a chance to read those?
Was I here on June 3rd?
You were, let's see. Oops. You were here.
I don't think I would.
Maureen was not.
Right.
But if you want to make a motion,
I can make a motion to accept the minutes.
You want a second? Okay, good.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstention by Maureen. Okay. Any communications or announcements anyone has?
No.
Okay. Then I guess we can jump into the old business. POCD comments provided to P&Z. It's my understanding there were three groups that submitted comments to planning and zoning as of the end of May. And also, I know Economic Development Commission was doing that as well. Margaret was putting those forward, but I haven't heard anything else. I think the last planning and zoning meeting, you were probably there, Nora. I think the chair, Jeff Silversmith, said that he was going to reach out to the other committees and ask them to submit their documents. And he said, I didn't get any notification, so I don't know whether because we submitted that I didn't get notified, or I'm not sure where that's at this point, but I haven't heard anything else. And I also, I did reach out a couple of times, and it was via email. I figure that's the best way, at least for people to respond on when they have the time, whatever. But I didn't get any response, unfortunately, relative to our offer to help out in any way. So I mean, that's still out there, but it's kind of the ball at this point is in P&Z's hands as to how they're proceeding with additional collection of information for the Plan of Conservation Development update. But I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that, Nora, from your perspective. I think you're on the subcommittee that's being formed, or no?
Are you talking to me? Can
Yes.
you hear me okay? Because everybody kind of froze for a minute. I got to change my internet in a second. I ran into Jeff about a couple weeks ago at a library thing, and he said he was still waiting for some, I think it was Conservation Commission and a couple other groups that had not submitted anything yet. So apparently we're not going to meet until he gets those, because he doesn't want to have to change anything. So I don't know what's going on at this point.
Okay, well, Hank, we'll I think at this point kind of proceed along our track that we talked about the last meeting we had, and that's maybe working towards a future stakeholders meeting. I think we can do that as we've done in the past. So we can talk about that in a minute. But any other project updates? I know that if you've read the latest Citizen, it did have an update on the web page update. Apparently they're getting closer for a rollout of that new website, town's website. So I guess we'll be anxious to see how that goes. That's only other project update I have at this point. Do you have anything you'd like to speak to on the Ashford Outdoors, Nora? Oh, I'm sorry, Gwen.
Well, a while back, we talked about two unsightly views in Ashford, and of course, one was the fire across from the fire department, the antique house that burned that used to be the Hungarian school. But the other was right on Route 74. There was like a smashed in truck And that smashed in truck is not there anymore. So that's really good. That was one of the things. I don't know if you were instrumental in that or Margaret Chady, but we had discussed this a while back to try to get that off out of the way, out of the sight of vision when you're driving by.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with the burned out houses, I mean, that was kind of ping pong between planning and zoning and the board of selectmen for a while, but I think it falls within the purview of the board of selectmen, and so I haven't heard any updates on that. I mean, it's a pretty, unfortunately, having been kind of remotely involved in those things in my previous life, they take on a life of their own, and even if you have good legislative directives in your town ordinances or whatever charters, it's still not an easy task. And unfortunately, I don't think there's much that I've seen in Ashford's regulations that provide for it at this point. So I think that's something they got to work through with the town attorneys to figure out how they're going to proceed with those matters. Because there's a number of them. There's one up on Westford Hill Road as well that I'm aware of. At least the owners there started cleaning it up. There's a couple houses there that aren't occupied at this point as well. So I mean, the blight or whatever you want to call it. And I know the selectmen were concerned about some things going on across from the entrance to, or the road, I should say, across Upton Road there as well. So I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it's tough. People have rights, a variety of rights, and how government proceeds in trying to define what it thinks is what should be the normal or acceptable behaviors for property management is a delicate thing. So
Well, it could be dangerous if kids wandered in there.
Yeah, well, hopefully their parents are watching them. That's what I always say. So, but I understand. In our day when we were kids, we got to ride around our bikes and stuff and go off and come back when dinner was ready. Hopefully that was about it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're free to contact the selectman's office to see what's going on with it. But I know it's not a easy thing. I know there was a little bit of activity there in the last week or so, but I'm not sure what that activity really meant. So,
but it's good when that truck is gone, the smashed in truck that was on display by the side of the road. So we're somewhere on something anyway.
So
yeah,
I had to change my internet. Gwen, what location are you talking about?
Okay, this was a while back, and Margaret Chady was I think I brought up about the truck, or somebody did, about how unsightly it was. It was a smashed in truck that was left there for like a year or something. And then
Where?
Margaret Chady, it's across from, not exactly the post office across the street, but a little.
On 74. Yeah. Okay. That's all I need to know.
And then Margaret Chady said it was part of their business, so they were showing something. But they may have gotten the message that it didn't look so good, and somehow it's gone. So I'm saying that's good. We're moving forward. And we once fixed the old gas station by painting it, but it's getting kind of black on the top again. And that could be something, if the owners would let people in town touch it up, get some white paint on there in the fall when it's cooler. Just be something, that I'd be willing to pitch in.
Me too.
Okay. Well, if that's something you want to do, I mean, I made the arrangements the last time with the owners, and if that's something a group wants to do, we can certainly see whether they can like to do it again, so.
Was that like 10 years ago?
Yes, 10 years ago already. Time flies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the painting has held up. The design is still in good shape. It's just the top, and I'm not sure that was ever painted early.
It wasn't.
Yeah, so it just looks moldy or something.
Yeah, I think we did paint it, but it's,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's black mold, and it's more than a paint job at this point.
It's gonna have to get scrubbed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where do you have water for power? Somebody has to have a good power wash system that's on board or something. But if that's something you like to do,
Maybe one of the fire engines can squirt it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any updates from your Ashford CT Outdoors?
Not
website?
really. Yeah, so I did get responses from 4 people who wanted their farm stand put up.
Great.
And it's up there. And I also put the farmer's market, but Jackie Kulik emailed me about that and asked me if I could. She's the one that runs it now. And I said, it's going to be there anyway. So, but I asked her to send me a picture, because one Westview had sent me a picture, and that were the only one on the page. And so I thought it looked kind of dopey. So I got pictures from 2 other people. So we've got the farmer's market with a photo. We have Westview Farm, Bodle Farm, Knowlton Farm, and Henrietta House.
Very good.
The last 2, I don't have pictures, but you know, I'm still concerned that we don't have a lot of knowledge about this website. And I had hoped that the Parks and Recs would pick up on it and build some activities around it, but they have not done that. So I am going to contact the committee, the Parks and Recs committee, like maybe the chair, and talk to him about what they might be able to do. I had hoped that they might come up with a Walktober event, but they did not. The Historical Society is not going to have one ready either. So I think we're going to have to be satisfied with the fact that we have the website up at the Last Green Valley website as the Ashford link. And it's also the link to Ashford at the CT Visit site. And I think perhaps the development of the website, most of that took place last fall. And the fact that it's up on those 2 places, and that I'm slowly getting people aware of it, I think we'll have to be satisfied with that for now. As far as I know, those rec cards have not been printed yet, that Margaret was going to take care of. So I think when they go out, we may get a little bit more interest and more hits on it, but we'll have to see.
It's too bad those aren't. I mean, hopefully they're available for the what they call it, the Family Day there, September 14th, the recreation.
That would be nice, yeah. But it's waiting on Margaret to approve the design so that she can then let the EDC pay for it.
Okay.
And then I will mention that I will need to renew the space at the Last Green Valley, which would be it's a total of 100. And last year it was 50 from Parks and Rec and 50 from the EDC. I'm going to try to get Margaret to do the whole 100. I think it fits better under her category. She wants to use it for development, and that's fine, you know, to bring people in. And I just think that it's probably a better use of her money than it is Park and Rec money. So I will be in touch with her about that, you know, in the fall probably. I don't know, when do they do budgets, you know?
Well, the budget was already passed in July 1st. So, I mean, you know, the EDC has their full complement of budget available. So I'm sure that'll fit in.
Okay. Well, yeah, so she was squeezing out the money for the rack cards from last year's budget. So it sounds like the budget's not real tight for her committee. So she's got a little flexibility. So I would think that she could come up with another $100. We'll see how it goes.
You got my vote. Okay.
I'll tell her.
Very good.
I contacted Sherry a couple of times about the dog park, and she's gotten back to me, but they haven't had a time to discuss it yet as a committee. So I'll keep you updated.
Okay, appreciate that. Future stakeholder meetings. I think the last time we talked about and you know, maybe getting them on a more regular basis and getting it started again. I did in passing talk with our first select woman, and she was on board with doing that. Matter of fact, before I could say it, she said, "I'd like to hold them more often." So there you go. We have her support. So what I thought maybe we just do to get the, you know, the things rolling here is kind of put together at least a draft agenda maybe, and I'm looking at sometime in, you know, October, I think, is a time maybe we could do it.
Mhm.
I mean, we don't have much time if we're going to get something in the Citizen, truthfully. So October is almost.
Right.
So anyhow, I did send out this morning. I don't know if anybody see the email I sent out this morning?
Yeah. I got it.
I can. Did you No, you didn't see it.
I
Okay.
was at work.
I will try. I can try to share what the draft and in. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but it kind of, and it's open for discussion here, but I just took basically, truthfully, this is probably one of our first ones we had, and just threw it back out there to kind of, with some of the bullet items that we had, and I'm open for suggestions on what you guys think. Can you see the whole thing, or do I have to scroll for you to see it?
I can see just past 4, the summary of input.
Okay, I wonder if I can, I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
good at sharing stuff.
Well, you could just scroll your
What I-
document down.
Beg your
Scroll
pardon?
down so the number 3 item is at the top of the page, and then I think we'll see everything that's important. Yes, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, so the first thing is we've had in the
Yeah.
past, the first selectman, person, woman, introduce greet everybody and make it a general introduction. Then we have, a lot of times we do is have an introduction around the room as well, but and then, you know, obviously we go about kind of telling why we're here. I think a lot of such people that may have forgotten or may not know what our town or future is about, and then kind of how we want to pursue. The activity statement would be what we've done in the past. You know, I think Nora, I don't know if you've been to any of them, but you know, we hand out a kind of a plan of attack. You know, we're going to say today we're going to break up into groups, and you know, and everybody's going to have a chance to kind of pick their top 3 things, whatever, and then we come back, and so we kind of outline the process of what we want to do for the evening. Okay, kind of like the game plan, and then we talk about the benefits, potential outcomes, what it all, you know, what this means to the community, what we're trying to do, and then, you know, that everybody hears the stakeholders. And but you know, that's kind of one thought. The questions that we've had some success in the past, we've actually tried to use these questions a number of times. You know, is what sort of find out what people like, because it's dynamic. It can change from year to year, whatever. You know, but it's interesting. For the most part, we still end up getting similar responses, even though we may have 5 years between, 10 years between times when we've done this. You know, and what we're really trying to do too here, you know, what this is really all about is engagement, trying to get people involved, and that's been a successful part of these past stakeholders. We've gotten a lot of people that have stepped up, gotten even on boards and commissions, people that have wanted to start like the Arts Council and a few other things. So, yeah, and then some people that don't want to be totally actively involved, but how they, you know, support the process, and then we kind of go through all the after people have answered those questions, we've kind of done those things. We come back and we try to kind of get the high easies and the kind of priority list from people of what they want to do, I think are important in the community, kind of what we did the last time. And then we always want to make sure you follow it up with you know, what are we gonna do next? When we're gonna, and that's where you kind of get to try to establish this continuity we've kind of lacked here in the last few years. Of trying to make sure it's almost like a regular thing that people could come to expect, and or even better, look forward to. And then, you know, how do we continue to get out to more people, get more people involved? And so that's kind of a one approach. But again, I'm not married to anything at this point. You know, if anybody has some ideas or things you'd like to do, tweak, open for any thoughts.
So the questions that you've got there, 4 questions that you're asking. I think if we're just restarting these meetings and hoping to have them be more regular, I'm not sure we want to ask that 4th question at the first meeting, because I think it'll scare people away. I think what we want, what I would be interested in, I don't know, I'm not trying to speak for everybody, is just the input at this point. What is it that people see for the future of this town? And I think we'll see some themes, but I think we'll see some variation as well. Variation on the themes, or just, you know, completely things that never occurred to us that somebody might bring up, right? So that's the way I would see it. So
I agree with that. I agree, because it's you're just throwing out ideas, and how can you start saying, oh yeah, I'm going to help with this and this one? It's not really clear. And it's kind of hard to put that in your schedule when it's just tossing it out there.
I don't quite understand that question 4C. How will planning help you? What does that mean?
Well, I think when that originally intended to mean is, you know, whatever we do, how is it going to help you personally, or as a family, or as an organization in the community? But I mean, it could be reworded.
What can OTOF do? What can OTOF do to help them? Is that what you're saying?
Or this process, you know, how can being involved in this kind of stakeholder meeting process to identify things, what are you looking to get out of it, so to speak, you know? Maybe it's probably a better way to phrase that, but that's what that's looking.
It might be, sorry.
But
it might be informative, depending on what their suggestion is, to ask them how they think it could be accomplished. So one thing that comes to mind, it was on the town Facebook page. Somebody said it's really hot at the Ashford Park playground. There's no shade at all. And somebody said, contact Parks and Rec. And someone said, just go straight to the first select woman. So that kind of brings up 2 questions for me. One is, what is the process that people need to go through if they want to do something directly on their own and not, for example, go through OTOF? But then the other one is, you know, I mean, I think some people think, oh, okay, I'll just tell Parks and Rec and they'll take care of it, right? But I think people generally still need to be advocates for their own idea, not just bring it up at one meeting and expect somebody else to pick up. And that doesn't mean that they're going to do all the work, but I think it means that they need to be willing to be involved in some of the planning, you know, a discussion about what exactly they want, how exactly something can be accomplished, and how you go about making that accomplishment occur. So I'd kind of like to see a hint of that. It's not as strong as how will you support, but you know, the idea that will you be an advocate, maybe. But I don't know that we want to actually write that down as an agenda for attendees. It just might be something that we try to follow up on in these discussions. You know, how can the townspeople advocate for, it doesn't even have to be that individual. Because usually if one person is saying they want something, others probably have the same idea. If they don't, and this one person is the only one, well, then it probably won't go anywhere, right? But, you know, maybe there are other people that would say, well, yeah, I really would like that, and I like the way you worded that, and I can help push it a little bit, type of thing. But
Well, I
I
think
think
I don't,
what went on before was the networking. For me anyway, I was just amazed at all the things that were going on in our town, and it was just an exposure to that. But I think really being introduced what's going on, and people with like ideas may be approaching a problem from a different angle, which is very useful.
Mhm.
Well, I think
Yeah.
to answer your question, Nora, too, that you said, the process. I think part of what this stakeholders meeting, our Town of Future, runs is kind of a way for people to come with ideas. Then we help kind of figure out, okay, where does it go? Does it go to a department? Does it go to the Board of Selectmen? Does it go to a commission? Or is it something that we then look for somebody to come forth and kind of be the champion of it, and kind of like maybe what Nord is doing with the daylily things, or you've done with the Ashford CT Outdoors project thing. So that's kind of what goes on. I mean, that's kind of what this whole meeting is about. It's gathering those ideas and say, okay, where can they go? Are there ones that kind of rise to the top that there's a lot of people that support, or are there ideas that come up and we have to figure out whether there is support or whether there is something that more people want in town too. So I mean, you're right. I mean, it's kind of an iterative process. It's I don't think there's necessarily a what do they do? What are these charts you can do that kind of charts the path of how to make the decision making on it. It's kind of a little more artistic, and touching.
And sometimes somebody might have an idea that would be totally unrealistic, that our town couldn't afford. Let's say they moved here and they say, well, all the other towns have a trash pickup day and we don't have that. Can we have that? And so that may be something that we can't do. And so we can't do the steps, but if one person wants this, do all the others. And if they did, then the taxes would go up.
No.
I thought everybody loved going to the transfer station.
Well, what if they're 90 and they couldn't anymore? I mean, I just
Yeah. I think one of the questions that we could ask is what kind of timeline is reasonable for any variety of suggestions, and whether it's something that's simple and could be done in the next 6 months, whether it could, be done in a year. I mean, there's a variety of things, right? Whether it should go in the plan of conservation and development and be done over a 10-year period, conceivably. And so I think there may be some education from that perspective required as well. Yeah, it's a good idea. That could take a while, but we can move on it by taking these steps. Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I'm really much in favor of these meetings, and I'm not naive enough to think we'd get hundreds of people or even dozens, but I think people who do show up are going to be interested in something, and we don't want to overwhelm them and scare them away, but we do want to encourage their participation and their input. So that's the way I would put it.
No, I mean, we've had, I think there's two ways to look at it. We've had, I think the fewest we ever had was 20. I think the most we ever had was like 48. But I mean, the 48 was not only a number of 48, but it was the diversity of the groups that were represented. We had a variety of nonprofits, business, staff, commissions, lay people. so I think it's always seemed every one we've ever had, I think there's always been some good output. Wouldn't you agree, Maureen and Gwen? I mean, there's always been.
Absolutely, yeah. People were sincerely interested in
Yeah.
making a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think
Well,
that's the important part is to have the meeting and begin to generate more interest and awareness. And I
mhm.
think it's one of those things, the more it happens, the word will spread, and bring your neighbor and friend, and drag a relative who doesn't really want to go out that night anyhow. That's the kind of thing that goes on, and it can grow that way, And I know, I'm sure you all have done this, but I talk with my neighbors that necessarily aren't going to come to a meeting, but they offer input or thoughts and suggestions as well, and those are things that I try to bring forward or whatever too. So, I mean, that's the way to grow it as well. And if we can make it, if we can even, I don't know how much, if we can make it on a Zoom and make it a little more available for somebody who doesn't necessarily have to show up to an in-person meeting, maybe that'll get us another, 25% attendance. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yes, Laura.
So for this first meeting, are you planning to invite leaders of non-governmental leaders for the first one, or do you want to tailor later ones for various types of leaders?
I think what we've done in the past, it's open for everybody, and
Yeah.
I think, one would say maybe that you're afraid that, okay, these competing groups or whatever, but I'll tell you, there's been a lot of synergy in the room. I think to Maureen's point, you learn about different organizations or businesses or groups that you might not have known about. So I think, to me, that's as great an output of these meetings as some of the identifiable 1, 2, 3s, but I think, one of the things I didn't do here, I mean, it's been, 2 years now since we had the last one already. And I think, there was some output to that. Probably maybe worthwhile just, having a line to kind of reiterate what was generated in those meetings, not to kind of, contaminate people's, thought process, but that's certainly something we could do, is to build off that meeting and the one that was done in 2019 as well. So there's a lot of good ideas that came out of both those that really haven't gone very far.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess what we can do here is, if you want, I'll just shape this up a little bit more. I kind of get a sense of some of the things you guys are saying. I'll try to reword a few things. I'll get it out to you guys here in the next couple of days. And then what I'll do is I'll just shoot it off and get a meeting with our first select woman there and say, okay, we need to kind of decide we're going to do this, because if we're going to do it in October, you basically have to have, I mean, it's kind of crazy. You have to have actually, I don't even know if we can do it, because it's, you got to get the room, you got to date, and if you're going to get something in the Citizen, you have to have it in 2 weeks from today, right?
10 days. What, the third? Oh, this is the 5th. So it's got to
Before
be
the
in 10
15th.
days. The
How many
15th.
days? The 15th, okay.
10.
Oh, it's,
So it may not even be reasonable to expect that we can do that. But and then the other challenge, and I'd ask all of you to kind of see what you can do, is this is the hardest thing, and I've spent a lot of time over the years generating the contact list, the outreach list, and it is hard, very hard, when you're trying to personally email or contact somebody, and it's so dynamic. I mean, I've had lists where I go on the website of the organization, and it has the list of their officers or contacts, and I reach out to them. So I haven't been the president of that league or that, of the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or Brownies for like 5 years. I'm going like, well, I don't know, so it's very difficult to find out where these organizations are and who to contact. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
you have to
think
know
one of the
people
questions
at every.
Huh?
I was going to say, you have to know people at every level, this age-wise and interests, in order to get a good cross-section. Yeah.
Well, a couple groups that I really thought would be great to have involved, and I know when we did the POCD, we had the same kind of challenges as getting the lake associations and some of their representatives involved, and it's just I don't seem to ever get any response, you know, and they have so much to offer. They're a big part of this community on what goes on, you know, and so I don't know. It's that to me is the biggest challenging part. I mean, October may be too late at this point, but I think I don't want to sell ourselves short for not trying to get things going. But I think I'd ask all of you to put together a list, okay, the groups that you know, the people that you know, contact them like an email, so that we can at least reach out to people. And it's not easy. I mean, I'll send out. I'll just give you an example. Not trying to sound negative here, just to try to express the challenges. The last time I think I sent out like 70 emails, and I ended up, you know, I was lucky if I got 10, 15 people respond, and then you send out 2 or 3 times. I think after a while people block it or something. But I mean, you don't even get a yes or no. So it's so that's the challenge in today's world. I think everybody's just bombarded with everything, and this would just be another bit of noise, I think, in their email system. But so I don't know.
But we did get more people for more groups than like a decade ago when we had these meetings. Knowlton Hall, we had we would in the beginning get the same people showing up, and we wouldn't really get a good cross section. And then whatever, maybe your emails really were working because we started getting more and more groups, and more people would voice their different opinions. And like groups I didn't even know about, like, was it a Fish and Game or whatever, the Sportsman's Club came and they voiced who they were and got involved, but didn't even know they were there.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you know people in different groups, you know, I'll tell you I mean, I shouldn't say this, it's being recorded, but I actually shamed a few people into showing up. You know, just saying, hey, your voice and your group's voice needs to be heard before then you come in. The one you just mentioned was one of them. I just happened to know sort of people in that club, and I said, hey, you guys got to have somebody there. It's important, you know. And
Well, here's some thoughts I have. First of all, for the first ad, which would go in the September Citizen, I don't think everything has to be lined up. You don't have to have an agenda. I think what you can put in there is, we're having this meeting, there'll be organization leaders there, government leaders, and the purpose of it is to get input from the townspeople. That's all you have to say, because that'll get people's attention. And then in the October one, there'll be more info, like who exactly you know is coming, that sort of thing. I also, as Gwen alluded to, would not be worried if we don't get hold of every leader in time to get them involved, because I kind of think it might work out better in some ways if we didn't have every single leader there at the same time, every time, you know. I mean, I didn't ever attend one. Wasn't around when you were doing it. So, or else I missed completely, but I can see an advantage to not having 30 leaders and 20 townspeople, you know. So, because I personally would be interested in hearing what people had to say. Then we can say, all right, well, that sounds like we need to talk to this group and that group and the other group. Well, you know, when we have our next meeting next quarter, we will have made those contacts and bring those people in, that sort of thing, instead of trying to solve every problem at that very meeting with the appropriate leader. I just think it'll grow, as Gwen said happened.
But when we do announce it, we will make it clear that everybody's welcome, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not worried about too many people. One thing coming on. I think, you know, the worst. I mean, the most crowded it was like the 48 people, and it was a great diversity of groups, and it worked out really, really well. So I mean, I think we keep the decorum. I think one of the things that these meetings have shown that people in Ashford doesn't matter who, you know, what political party you are, or whatever your personal thoughts are. Everybody was there for one purpose, and that's to try to do something positive for the community, which was, you know,
Right.
a real good feeling. So that doesn't happen in every community, believe me, but I think
Yeah.
that's what to be proud of here in this community. So I'll fluff this thing up and then oops, and then we can you know, get it to for selectwoman. Sorry, lost my thought there. But yeah, I think picking a date and saving the date so we can get something into the citizen in a couple of weeks would be the critical thing. And then between then and now and then, I'm Polish, I think backwards, that we can actually put together, you know, the list of contacts, do all that hard legwork, you know, this go through the iterations of what they want for kind of agenda, handouts, that kind of thing. Then we can practice our roles of what we would be doing and all that fun stuff. So, yeah. So
I think you will conceivably make contact with people through the website that even if you don't have an email address, you could put up, you know, we're looking for a leader of X group, you know, who's running the Girl Scouts now, that kind of thing. And then you'll know who to get in touch with, or have that person message you or something like that.
yeah, I'd be interested Did anybody here sign up for the alerts on the town's website? I mean, I think
Yes.
this could be a new one, but you could be alerted when you know, like planning and zoning has an agenda posted or minutes posted, that type of thing. So, I mean, it might be interesting whether the town would be willing. I don't know if that's allowed, but to push out an alert on this meeting to those people that have signed up. So that's another handful of people at least. So I don't know. But those are all good
That
thoughts.
sounds like a great idea.
And maybe we get to put up some signs, you know, by the like the yard signs that we can put up along the roads and things ahead of it.
Yeah.
You know, put them out at Knowlton Hall, at the transfer station, things like that.
Yeah.
Those are things I don't think we've really tried before, but maybe that'll generate, you know, hand out notices at the transfer station, saying there's going to be a meeting, please attend. You'll get 5 cents off your next disposal of bottles at the transfer station. I don't know.
Well, just tell them we'll have ice cream.
Yep, there you go. That's what, you know, truthfully, as Glenn and Maureen know, that used to be the thing. Oh, if we have food, that'll bring people in.
That worked with the books. When we would get the books sorted for a book sale, people made soup and homemade bread, and we got like over 100 volunteers.
Wow.
Babcock Library was really surprised.
Mhm.
Well, I like one thing you said, Mike, about there's no political divisiveness or anything about this, and Ashford is what unites us all, and it's not going to be like, okay, the mega warehouse and everybody, you know, split and angry and all this. This is coming together, and we need that, and we just don't have enough of that nowadays in the news and our society. And so I think that's a good thing to push, how Ashford unites us.
It's not that we haven't had some people that were passionate about certain things, but I think it was always done probably in a constructive fashion, which was something to be proud of. So, okay, sounds good. Any no new members that I'm aware of that keep on trying to see if somebody wants to get involved, but that's something these meetings might help. Any new business? Anybody have any new business? No. POCD, again, we've submitted our information and kind of waiting to see where that goes with what planning and zoning is going to do. There's no one here from the public. Any other input for the next agenda?
No.
Any general comments? No. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move
I
we
move
adjourn.
that we adjourn. I second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, Mike.
thank you, ladies, for coming, and enjoy the rest of the week. And I just feel bad for the people down south with all this rain. It's just crazy.
Awful,
I know.
awful.
But hey,
It's not over yet either.
I know. So we'll see you, we'll catch you all next month. And I'll
Good.
put
Thank you,
up-
Mike.
Thank you.
Bye,
Okay,
everybody.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.